guys? Angry Manduke here again. And what am I angry about? The Philadelphia Auto Show. Why would I be angry about that? I went, didn't I? Well, there's a handful of things that I'm angry about the Philadelphia Auto Show. First and foremost is that there's a whole lot of cars that are being advertised now because of the 2020 cutoff where all manufacturers have to have at least one car that gets over 50 miles to the gallon. So I expected to see most of those cars because it's 2018 and on display is the 2019 models. So you would think some of them were trying to jump the gun, but let's be realistic here. Most of them are not. They're trying to push it back as far as they possibly can. So there's a handful of new vehicles that are prototypes and in testing now that weren't there. And part of the things that I was interested in as far as the auto show was concerned wasn't just what I was interested in personally, but also what my girl was interested in, which is mainly electric vehicles and hybrids and stuff that gets high gas mileage. And there are a lot of cars that are prototype and in testing that we had been researching that weren't there. A lot of the stuff that was there wasn't overly different from the 2016 auto show that I went to. So when I went, I wasn't overly excited to see things that I had already seen, even from car companies that I had already reviewed and already went through. So that was the vendor area was much less than before, which give and take, sometimes the vendors actually have interesting things, but this time all I saw was people selling license plates, and I didn't find that to be very exciting. There was better vendors at the Pumpkin Run car show, which actually was a better car show as a whole. But the auto show is about new cars, not about used ones and old ones. Classics and whatnot. As far as new cars were concerned, there wasn't a whole lot of new things to see. Now, there were some companies there that aren't normally there. In the case of Lamborghini had some stuff there and Jaguar was there. I didn't actually go to check out those stuff because there isn't anything for me in those things. There's not anything that I would consider living in, and those of you who are regular subscribers of mine know that I lived in a van for a period of time, and I expect to do it again in a camper in some way, traveling the country. So, of course, I'm looking at vehicles that would be sustainable to do that in, and, well, Jaguar just doesn't have anything to offer. On top of that, they've kind of fell off since Ford ditched them in the 2010 bailout. Then, beyond that, the other things that I wanted to argue about, well, like I said, there was a lot of stuff that wasn't there that should have been there. I expected to see what Chevy was doing with the Express because they deleted it from their passenger line and their main line. They're still selling it as a commercial vehicle, but they're not selling it to everyone else, even though their only real competitor, Ford, is selling the Transit as a passenger vehicle and making a killing on it, so I don't see why they wouldn't. They didn't have the Express City, which is what they're calling a small van. I still expected to see one there, even if they're only selling it as a commercial vehicle. I still would expect to see one there because it's a vehicle that they have and would be useful for the average person. Now, the average person doesn't really have an option from General Motors as for a small size utility vehicle. Like, you can get the Colorado, but the Colorado is as big as the Silverado was in the early 2000s, so I wouldn't call it a small vehicle. The Express City kind of fits into that because it's about on par with what the S10 used to be. I was also disappointed that the couple people that I managed to talk to for General Motors and Chevy didn't have any definitive answers on anything and were clearly gay. Now, if I went over to General Motors and I wanted to buy a truck and the guy that I was talking to was flamboyantly gay, the average truck buyer is probably not going to be interested. But the fact that he didn't have a definitive answer on what MPGE was or what they were doing with the Express, and he couldn't discern the differences between completely separate questions, well, that's a little bit off-putting in itself. I'm also angry about the dub display, which is what you can see behind me, where I really didn't see too much new stuff than what I did in 2016. It was a bunch of the same people selling the same things in the same way, and there was a whole lot of Jeep Wranglers that were all done kind of the same way to look like the same things, which I don't need to see that. I can see that on the streets of Millville and Vineland, It's a very common thing and it's not needed. So anyway guys, this video is getting kind of long and I don't want it to be longer than the actual dub display review or the Philadelphia Auto Show. I did mean to get those videos out sooner, but it didn't happen because I also managed to contract the flu when I went to the auto show, which, you know, I'm angry about that. Thanks for watching. Check out some videos, subscribe, and pick yourself up an Angry Manduke coffee cup. Thanks for watching. Peace.